The Lord be with you. Reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. One of the scribes came to Jesus and asked him, "Which is the first of all the commandments?" Jesus replied, "The first is this: Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is Lord alone. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. The second is this: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these." The scribe said to him, "Well said, teacher. You are right in saying He is one, and there is no other than He. And to love Him with all your heart, with all your understanding, with all your strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself is worth more than all burnt offerings and sacrifices." And when Jesus saw that he answered with understanding, he said to him, "You are not far from the kingdom of God." And no one dared to ask him any more questions. The Gospel of the Lord. Hear, O Israel, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart. This is the task of the Christian life, and often it is a lifelong task. And probably for most, it's one that even extends into the next life in the purifying fire of purgatory. We are asked to love the Lord with all our heart. Now, the heart in the biblical mind is a place that is the center of the person. We're used to thinking of heart in terms of feelings. But in the Bible, it did not mean feelings. It meant decision. It was the place of the will. It was the place where one's thoughts were. And it's also the center of the person, even when you think of our physical life with the circulation of blood, right? And blood is the life, and the heart is the place where the blood flows in and out of. It is the beating of the heart that gives life to the person. We are to love Him with all that we are. Now, the Lord's love for us is never in question. The Lord loves us totally, with all that He is, unconditionally. It's our love that is partial and conditioned and lukewarm, with that ebbs and flows. The Lord's love is not like that. His love is a constant torrent of love for us. And so when we examine ourselves during Lent, we are to find the places in the heart where that partial and lukewarm love exists, the darkened places of the heart. We are to find them through our examination of conscience. Another way of knowing where one's heart is pay attention to when your mind is not occupied by the task at hand. Where do your thoughts, where do my thoughts naturally gravitate? That will tell you where your heart is. And the key for this is to begin to bring those parts of the heart to the Lord. Because we cannot change without His love. Our hearts will not change without allowing His love into those places. So often the Christian life is not so much a matter of trying harder, Now, certainly there's the place for effort. There's the place for cooperation with grace. But in order for that cooperation to happen, we must do something first. But it's not trying harder. It is surrendering. It is opening. Right? Hear, O Israel. Hear, have open ears, an open heart, which allow the Lord's love to come in. And then the grace is there for us to be able to respond and to cooperate with him. We must know his love first so that we can be freed up to love in return. So the task ahead of us is identifying those places where there is a lack of love and opening them to the love of Jesus Christ. We can begin it right now in Holy Mass. Right? In this sacrifice, he comes to us in the sacrament of love, of his own body and blood. Let us bring those places of the heart that are darkened and that are afraid and that we have a very difficult time being vulnerable with. Those are precisely the areas that we are to bring to Holy Communion, that his love can begin to go to work on it, and that we may be freed to love the Lord with our whole heart.